Hi everybody, thank you for coming. We appreciate you taking time out of your day to come to this amazing training. I just need to make sure everybody's signed in, and there's candy and there's bags for everybody. Our speakers today are going to be Investigator Cardinelli and Investigator Klemp. They work here at the Lake Elsinore Station. They'll kind of tell you a little bit about themselves, how long they've been here with the Sheriff's Department, and then they'll equally do this presentation for you. And remember, it's important you take this to your communities to share with your neighbors, all the knowledge that you guys have. Okay, guys, and there's some pamphlets. If you need the PDF, we can send it to you to give, if you need to print out more, but we're just here to be of service to you guys.
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, thanks for coming here today. My name is Brandon Cardinelli. I'm an investigator with the Sheriff's Department. I'm going on my 14th year here at the Sheriff's Department. I've worked at the 2 different jails, and I worked at the Parish Station for about 9 years, and I got here to Lake Elsinore back in March.
I got to Lake Elsinore in February. I've been on the department like 16 years, so I worked different assignments at the jails, Hemet, San Jacinto, Temecula, Cabazon, and then I came here. I'm currently, I was assigned identity theft and property crimes. Now I'll be working on sex crimes, but still doing identity theft and other things also.
So, who's here been a victim of identity theft? Anybody? Or known someone? That's probably pretty much everybody. Who's gotten a phone call at 2 in the morning asking if they have an arrest warrant by the FBI for tax fraud? Everybody? No? I just got one yesterday. So,
Right.
No, it's a rampant thing. Identity theft right now is more accessible to these guys more than anything, and I think it's only going to get worse. I think part of the problem with it too is just kind of some of the lax laws that are associated with it. It's not a violent law. It's not something that someone's going to go to jail or prison for a long time. They used to, but not anymore. So right now the gain is much more than the loss because these guys aren't spending any time in jail, hardly at all. So anyways, we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about why identity theft, why is this happening? We'll go through what you guys can do to prevent yourselves from becoming, and we're going to talk about mail theft and ID theft. They kind of go hand in hand. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll get into some cases that both he and I have done regarding just some of the ID theft. So let's get started. It's kind of a dry topic, so I'm not going to spend an hour on talking about it, but we'll go over just some of the basics. All right, so here's, I already talked to you guys about it, some of the stuff we'll talk about, why mail is being targeted, how it's being used, and just some of the statistics here at the Lake Elsinore Station this year. We'll talk about what to do if you've been targeted, how to prevent yourself from becoming a victim, and then some of our case studies. So why are these guys targeting our mail? Our information, right? So on your mail, you've got your name, address, super easy to come across. Your utility bills, credit cards, debit cards, tax returns. You're coming up on tax season coming in April. What gets mailed, right? Your tax returns. Check payments. People still use checkbooks? Short kind of? Junk mail. And we'll talk about junk mail too. It's pretty important as well. So what are these guys doing with this information? Well, if they get your name and they get your social, or they get your address, the internet is big. It's got a lot of stuff in it, right? A lot of information. So what they do is they will then go into, they'll make a fake email account, probably with your name. So they'll say, hey, john.smith@gmail.com. All right, so now you have a new email. They start checking your credit. They run your credit through a credit check. Hey, John Smith's got an 800 FICO score. Look at that. He could probably get 5 different credit cards with this amount. And once they get your guys' credit and all that stuff, online purchases. very difficult to track. It's one of those things to where if you don't have video of these guys using it, they go online and they have it either shipped to a store where they'll come in and pick it up, or they'll have it shipped to a buddy's house or something like that. Brick and mortar purchases, gift cards. Has anybody gotten like a scam phone call saying that they need green dot cards? Anybody heard of green dot cards? No? No? Okay.
Excuse me, somebody left their lights on. One of your guests in here, they're driving a light blue truck,
Oh.
like a Chevy.
Anybody?
Anyway?
It's about the color of your shirt.
On the street?
Your lights
Yeah,
are
on the
off.
street.
Oh, mine are off, okay.
Okay,
Nobody?
that's all I want to tell you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so they'll, once they get a credit card or a debit card established in your name, they go and rack up, they go to Target or they'll go to Walmart, they'll get a bunch of credit cards and they'll, because once that money's on there, we can't go and get that back. They'll establish new lines of credit and they will actually make fake IDs to have checks cashed. So if they can, they make checks as well. So if they get your name and they get a bank account number, and they start throwing your name and stuff on the check line, and they start cashing on these checks. We had one girl last year. I have her on the slide, but she was actually using somebody else's name to put on as a renter at a house, as a squatter house. So that's just some of it. You want to talk about retailers?
The retailers, like, they have their own credit cards. So Lowe's, Home Depot, I had a case with Staples where they stole the Staples credit card or statement, and then they were able to go into the store and I think it was a couple $1,000s worth of purchases. He wasn't the smartest because he used his own computer and we were able to track him and we were able to arrest him. But we don't always catch the criminals. We like to say we don't always catch, the smart ones we don't always catch. It's the dumb ones we usually catch. But so they get hit a lot. These retailers, they'll go buy $1,000 worth of electronics or whatnot.
These websites, have you guys ever gone on findpeoplesearch.com? You guys ever heard of that? When you guys get a chance, write your notes on that. If you go and do a search on that, just plug your name in, California, if you live in California, and you're going to be shocked on what comes up. It's going to give you your names, phone numbers that you've had, and it actually gives you a whole list of associates that you've ever come across. I mean, it'll take brother-in-laws, sister-in-laws, brother, sister, parents. I mean, all that stuff is on that website, and previous addresses, and I just came across it a couple months ago, and I was shocked of how much
Possibly
information
like
is on
your maiden names,
there. Yeah,
things
so
like that you use for security
banking
purposes.
yeah, so for banks, if you have your security question, hey, what's your mother's maiden name? That's a common one. They'll get it that way. The dark web, all this information's accessible that way, and these guys will actually trade your information as like a form of currency. So these guys, they're usually using drugs from, based on what we've seen. They'll go and hit all these mailboxes, and they'll give all this mail to somebody who actually knows what they're doing, and in turn, they'll get payment for heroin, meth, coke, whatever. So that's how it's kind of shared between them. There's some mail theft statistics this year for the Lake Elsinore station. Where it says city, that's the Lake Elsinore city. Days of the week is actually kind of spread out a little bit from last year when I was working in Menifee. We saw a lot more on Mondays, just because people are usually gone during the weekends. When they come back, they don't collect their mail, and so.
They also hit like the 1st and the 15th because checks come in the mail on those days, and they know that. So don't leave mail in mailboxes for long periods of time if you can help it.
All right, so if you do think that your mail was stolen, has anybody had like their mailbox broken into or gone out and seen like their, nobody? Neighbors? Yeah. It's really easy for them to get into it. You know, they use a crowbar. I've even seen a guy hook up a chain around the bottom frame, hook it up to a truck and just yank it right off the concrete. And they load it up and then that's it, it's gone. So if you think that your mail has been stolen, immediately run a credit report. Freecreditreport.com is pretty popular. I think you usually get one a year free, like an annual report. So check that, see if there's any false lines of credit on there. And if you do see that, make sure that you file it not only with us, law enforcement, but also file it with the postal inspector. That way it's on their record as well. So the 3 credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. If you contact any one of those, you can do it online. About 4 years ago, I got a good old phone call. Hey, did you purchase $12,000 at the women's building? It wasn't me. So I had to go through this whole thing, and it's a mess. It's very difficult to, one, try to retain your credit, and yeah. So anyways, if you contact Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, any one of those, they should put a fraud alert on your account, and you can actually, if it's an ongoing thing, you can actually even freeze your credit. If you're not planning on buying a car or house, I would recommend even looking into that.
I've done it. Each one, some will give it to you for free, like once, and the other ones charge a fee to freeze it and then to unfreeze it. But if you freeze your credit, nobody can get anything. So you can't even get anything. If you want to go buy a car, you have to then call them back up, unfreeze it. So I had it frozen for a while after, like, I think either Target or somebody got that big data breach where all of our information was stolen. So I froze all of mine because I'm paranoid. And then I had to unfreeze them all so I could get some credit for something. But if you don't plan on purchasing anything or applying for credit yourself, it's a good idea to just freeze your credit. And that way, you're probably not going to become a victim as far as credit being opened in your name. I mean, they can still maybe get your credit card and use that, but they can't create new accounts where there's $50,000 of debt in your name now.
One of my buddies this last week had the same type of thing happen. I guess people are calling him about bank accounts and stuff that he might have opened up. And he signed up with LifeLock. I'm not an advocate for LifeLock, yeah, but he has a great experience with it. I don't know if it's like a monthly subscription that he has to pay, but I guess there's an agent that's actually assigned to it. So if somebody does try to open up another line of credit, he gets notified immediately. Just something to look into. So when you call us, we'll give you guys a report number for like a fraud, and if you give those credit agencies that report number, it should give you that fraud alert. I think up to five years or so. So it'll actually extend it for you. Yes.
Also, just so you know, creditkarma.com is all free.
Yeah.
And once you're on their email, like if any activity happens that they find is abnormal, they email you immediately.
Yeah.
And it's all free.
Right.
You don't have to put your credit card information.
And most of your credit cards have that option too, like you can set limits. So I think, like if I spend over $200, we get an email saying you exceeded your credit limit. I think every card you have that option probably. Because most of the time if it's a credit card you can be refunded your money, but it's a pain in the butt to go through it. Like if it's a debit card, it's different. You know, it's more difficult to get that refund to your account. Whereas a credit card, they kind of refund it pretty quickly a lot of the times.
All right, so we'll just go over like some tips and stuff for mail theft prevention. Just make sure that you guys are using an approved locking mailbox. I know there's some communities in here that just have the regular old flap down door. consider maybe going into it with some neighbors and putting it in a community mailbox. From what I hear, it's easier said than done. But I know it can be done. Make sure you pick up your mail every day. If you guys are going to be going out of town or not at the house or unable to pick up your mail, contact a friend or neighbor, somebody that you trust to go pick it up.
You can also go to the post office and put a freeze on your mail. Like when I leave town for a week or 2 weeks, we don't have any mail delivered, and then it's a hassle. You gotta go pick it up at the post office, but at least my stuff's not getting stolen. So they'll hold it for you until whatever date you put on the hold, and then you can go pick up what was delivered during that time frame.
You can do that hold online.
Can you?
Yep.
Yeah, and they will deliver it. You can have the option to pick up or to have it delivered.
Okay.
Some.
Like
Yeah.
Elsewhere does.
Yeah, so if you guys notice anything that's valuable, obviously, contact whatever agency that package is coming from, UPS or, whatever agency that delivers it. Kind of went over that. This is a big thing. Avoid sending checks over the mail. Yes, sir.
Your second bullet, you're
Yes.
recommending against using the deposit box that are in the driveway in front of the post office.
Correct, and I'll tell you why. So they have doors on, right? Just the doors. Well, what these guys are doing is they're getting like rat trap type devices, and they're getting the glue, and they're getting a weighted device, and they'll just string it down into the thing, and then they'll actually pluck it right out of the mailbox. So if you can, it's probably maybe a little bit more secure than the mailbox if you have a locking one, but just for me personally, if it's a high value piece of mail, I wouldn't take the chance. I'd either deliver by mail or deliver in person.
At the very least, pay attention to the pickup times. When you open that, it says they pick it up at 1 and 5. You'd be better off the closer you are to those pickup times. If you have to use, you're in a hurry and you gotta do it. As long as it's, close to that time, chances are you might, not have a problem.
Coordinate your mail drop-off times. Don't send cash in the mail. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We already kind of went over that. Ask a family member or friend, trustworthy, being the key word, neighbor there. Consider using a P.O. box if you guys don't feel comfortable using one outside your front of your house. So, have you guys heard of informed delivery?
I use it.
You use it? What do you think?
I love it.
So, informed delivery, so what it is when you get mail, USPS, the Postal Service, will actually scan mail before it gets delivered. I just heard about this and I just downloaded the app myself. And it's actually kind of cool. It'll actually scan, so it'll tell me what mail I'm expecting in the next couple of days. This is I don't know if you guys want to write that down or take a photo of it, but
It'll
that's
tell you what
the
packages are
website.
coming and everything.
Yeah, and you can track it. There's iOS, iOS and Android.
Yeah.
They both have it. Everybody got it? I'll go back.
I started doing that when the postal inspector was here. I don't know, about a year ago, we had the postal inspector here and she told us about that. That's when I started doing it.
Everybody got it? All right. So what really helps us out is you guys being the eyes and ears out there, and because we can't be out there all the time. You guys know who's who. You guys know who's supposed to be in the area. You know who's not supposed to be in the area. So, become familiar with those people that are supposed to be there, and, make note of someone who does look suspicious. Be a good witness. If you guys notice somebody, obviously, and they look suspicious, obviously call us. But if you can, try to get, a vehicle description down. Try to, note if there's any anomalies with the car or truck. Hey, was there paint missing here? Did it have this type of wheels? Or was this, fender damage done? Little stuff like that really helps us ID these guys. bumper stickers or anything like that. Those are the types of things that help us. Report to any activity to law enforcement. Inspect your mailbox. Any damage that's done to your mailbox, if it looks like it has been targeted, contact the post office. So we'll talk about some cases here real quick. This lovely lady, she was kind of funny. So I worked the special enforcement team up in Menifee the last 4 years, and we primarily targeted people who were doing this type of stuff within the city. So this lady, her name is Kara Kirkconnell, she's actually on parole, and I was just going there to do a simple parole check, make sure she's not doing what she's not supposed to be doing, make sure everything's right. Well, her grandparents allowed me in, and she's sitting on the bed, smoking her meth pipe, and writing people's names down on the telephone with a creditor. I mean, as I walked in. And needless to say, it was a pretty slam dunk case, but I had 2 cases on her that year, and she's already out on both of them. So if you guys think these guys are getting any, significant amount of time, it's not happening. Prop 47, AB 109, those are 2 big ones that just really.
Even if you get convicted of state prison, if it's a nonviolent crime, a lot of times you're doing your state prison time in a county jail. Our county jails are overcrowded, so you usually can do a certain amount of time and be out, which is, I'm not going to even tell you what it is. It's far less than what the actual 2-year sentence is. Far less. So, unfortunately, they don't have any repercussions to what they're doing. Because once they get out of that, so if we federal release them, they're not on probation, they're done. Their sentence was considered completed, like they did the full 2 years in state prison. That's just the way the law is right now.
So she was the one I was telling you about. She actually opened up like a direct TV line and one of the person's name, and she actually rented a house in somebody else's name. And trying to figure out all that stuff is a mess. And she was actually not only using credit cards and her normal everyday shopping type stuff, but yeah, she was actually able to get a house on somebody else's credit. That's one of our local Lake Elsinore people. He was convicted twice, 2017 for identity theft, possession stolen mail. He's out. So this lady, she and her husband, she would go around Menifee, Lake Elsinore, Wildomar, and she would drive in the middle of the night, and she would look for the mailboxes that had the red flags, because then she knew that there was mail in there. And as soon as the red flags up, told her husband to stop the car, grab all the mail. I put 4 cases on her. I'm sorry, I think I put 3 on, and we had nothing. She's out too. And these are all convicted cases. No longer in jail, and these people are just getting probation parole. This one was this year. So this one, we got a credit card, someone had some mail stolen, or a credit card stolen out of their car, and I think it was a wallet or something like that. And they started noticing all these charges on their debit and credit card, and one of them was that Wildomar. So went to Walmart, got some good video of her and her husband pushing out $800 worth of groceries and stuff. And we ended up going back, we ended up finding out where she lived. She ordered, what did she do? She ordered Domino's pizza off this credit card. So where do you think she delivered it to? I told you, we don't catch the smart ones, we catch the dumb ones. So we ended up finding out where she lived from Domino's, and she used the stolen credit card. And we went and knocked on her door, and lo and behold, there was checks, I mean, you name it. Gift cards, they were printing money. She's printing money, and you would think the Secret Service would be concerned about that. Unless it's a large sum, they don't touch it. Yeah.
Printing.
So she got sentenced to probation, so she's out and about. You might see her roaming the streets here. That's her husband. They're together. And this is
This is the Staples case I was telling you about. So he somehow got the Staples credit card number, made a card. They can make cards easy. They can take a gift card and turn it into a credit card by they get those machines where they can put it on the strip on the back. Now I don't know, I haven't come across a case yet where they're doing the chips and stuff, but it's not, I'm sure they're doing it. What we give something to make it more difficult and they figure out how to make it regardless. So he had the stolen credit card number and he was able to go into Staples and we found out it was him through like an IP address where he was ordering the stuff online, went to his apartment, served his, did we serve a search warrant? Yeah, we served a search warrant on his house and I recovered most of everything he bought at Staples, so he bought it all for himself at home. So like the computer desk, like we took everything back, but the victim had to go through all that headache of somebody charging $2,500 on his card and claim, make the claim it wasn't him who charged it. And he was on video at Staples. They remembered him because I think he was flirting with the cashier or something. So he was, acting like it was his card, and he had no, it was a business Staples credit card. So I think that's how he kind of got away with it in the store. But when you go to stores, they're not paying attention to who's, they don't ever, I go to a ton of stores, use a credit card, very rarely do they check my ID, very rarely. And I think now with the chip, it's almost like never. So you can't rely on the stores to try to double check that, which it'd be nice if they did, but they don't.
I even write, please ask for photo ID on the back of my cards, and they still don't do it. I've been in there with a guy using my card. And
well,
they
you gotta
bat
kind of
an
I
eye.
mean, no offense to any cashiers, but a lot of these places are younger kids, and they don't really know what they're doing anyways. So they're just trying to get you in and get you out. And that's it. Has anybody gotten a call about having a grandson or somebody in jail and they need iTunes gift cards or anything crazy like that?
Or the IRS scam that goes around where they call you and say, you're going to go to jail if you don't give me money. The IRS doesn't use the phone to collect money from you, and they're going to send you a certified letter or something like that. Same along the lines, there's romance scams that are going around. People meet people online, believe it or not. They have this relationship and they'll go on for months with this fake Facebook profile and they're gonna get married. I mean, I've had people send $30,000 to like, I forgot, it was in another country like Africa somewhere or something, and she truly believed that this was a businessman and she was in love with him. I mean, they scam them and they'll keep doing it and they're able to like sweet talk them. I don't, you'll get calls on the phone for donations to firefighters, police officers associations. I'm pretty sure most associations don't call and solicit that way. So I wouldn't donate to them and I'll tell them that. I'll be like, oh, that's weird because I work for the Sheriff's Department. Or the people calling from the IRS. Really? Because this is the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Watch how quick they hang up on you. One of our partners, he just plays with them every time they call. Like, he talks in some Russian accent and goes to see how long they'll just keep going. But a lot of times they'll have an Indian accent or a Nigerian accent. Because those are two places where a lot of this phone scam money is going, which we're not going to be able to track it. There's no way we're going to get anything back from a foreign country.
Well, we have limited jurisdiction, right? So the good thing is IC3.gov up there, they're the ones that handle the overseas stuff. So if you think you've been swindled and like it might be like overseas, Sheriff Sniff's not going to allow me to go to Europe to go follow up on any of these cases. So IC3.gov is where you want to go to report those things or out of the country.
And I think what they do is they take a collaborative, they're able to put all these cases that people, so you want to go on that site when you're scammed or something like that, because they'll take all those cases and a lot of times they can link them and then the case becomes bigger. Because a lot of times it's about the dollar amount. I worked the jail, Southwest Jail, and we had a huge like IRS fraud with the inmates claiming fraudulent taxes. And there was people getting like $10,000 returns that they were in jail all year. It didn't work. So that was turned over to the IRS, but they do these things. I mean, any way they can try to swindle money, they will. So your ID could be used for that too, as far as people will file your tax returns prior to you doing it. So if you're one of those people that wait till April 15th, you have to be on it because that's a mess from what I understand. If you already have a tax return filed, trying to fix that after the fact, it becomes a problem. And we all know how the IRS is. So, but a lot of what I was getting to is the case had to meet a certain threshold. Because if you read the papers or the national news, I think Florida they had a case with inmates doing the same thing, but it was like $7.3 million that they had swindled from the government from these false tax returns. So my $100,000 case wasn't quite to that level, but they took it. So, and it takes them a little bit longer, I think, to get to the conclusion than it would take us, because I don't know where they're at with it. And that was close to 5 years ago.
So I would say if you guys have not been a victim of ID theft yet, consider yourself fortunate. It's not a fun process to go through, as I've gone through it. I've known a lot of people have gone through it. Just to wrap it up, I would say run your credit at least once a year. Just look at and see if there's any lines of credit that have been opened up to your name, because hopefully you can catch it before it gets too advanced and we can kind of squash it earlier.
I think common sense goes a long way though, too.
Yeah,
If you
that
answer your
goes.
phone and somebody says, hey, your grandchild's in jail, we need,
Yeah.
that don't
You would
happen.
think, but
You would
we
think.
still get those reports.
There's plenty of like intelligent people that get scammed that way too. The other thing I was going to say is, if you are a victim of identity theft, get as much information from the credit card company or bank that you can on your own, because it's a lot, like, believe it or not, banks don't just hand us information. Your privacy is important to them, so they make us jump through hoops to get anything regarding whatever you're calling us about. So if you can get like a full-on printed out statements, where the credit card was used, sometimes you can get the IP address for us without us having to go write a warrant. Ways for us to help you find whoever had your identity is, it goes a long way and it makes it quicker. Because we have to write a search warrant, we gotta go get the judge to sign it, and we gotta fax it off. I think I wrote a search warrant to, I think it was T-Mobile. I didn't get the response back for like 3 months. So, and some banks are quicker than others, and sometimes we work better with others, but a lot of times, there's just so many requests that it takes them that long. Like my request wasn't, there was nothing urgent about it, so they were just doing them as they came in. So that means that they had that many requests that it took 3 months for me to get my information.
Yeah, and even though if we like write a search warrant for someone's bank records, they don't give it to us all that we ask for. Never. We have to contact them numerous times. You know, I'll say, hey, I want name, address, location, dates, and times of when all these transactions occurred, and they'll give me the name of the account. And that's it. I'm like, well, I need the other stuff, and I have to wait another 6 or 8 weeks to get maybe another portion of that information. So, long story short, try to get as much information from you guys to us as much as possible, because it helps speed up the investigation a little bit. But yes, ma'am.
You want to speak to where you use your credit card, like at a gas station when you put your card in, and bank tells, you know, with the ready teller.
Yeah, I use a credit card at the gas station. I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing, But the one thing nice about using a credit card is if, for whatever reason, my credit card number is compromised, I can just call the bank and be like, this wasn't me, you know, and they're usually pretty good about refunding you. But taking that into account, I always now is the little scammers. Have you guys seen pictures or seen little skimmers like that they actually hook up? If it doesn't look right, trust your gut instincts on that. You know, there's so many different forms and different versions.
There's also security things on the gas pumps. If they're broken, don't use it. I personally, for the most part, I will never use my debit card outside. I'll go in, I'll tell them put $40 on 3. It's a hassle, but you know what? I don't want to deal with the couple weeks it's going to take me to fix it if my debit card's compromised. Like you said, the credit card's a little bit easier. The skimmers, I've seen skimmers inside the store that the machine you slide your card or put your chip in, they literally have a duplicate copy that fits over the one in there. And if they have employees that are either in collusion with them or not paying attention, so like on those kind of things, kind of mess with it a little bit. Make sure that's something, you know, like there's not a cover on it. And the same with bank ATMs. They have actual bank ATMs that have been compromised. They'll put videos so they can see your code. And then they get you know, if they have your bank account number, now they got your code, they can go do whatever they want. So you know, I always cover, anytime I enter my bank code, I cover my thing. I don't care who's standing next to me or if nobody's standing next to me, because they got cameras. So if somebody in that store is a criminal, they can just go back and go, and it's not hard to follow somebody on a pin pad. So always cover it to try to prevent that at least. You know, it seems a little paranoid, but I don't want to be a victim. I've had it, and I have no idea where they got my card from when they did steal my identity.
Why not just keep your debit card locked up in your safe at home?
Right.
And use a credit card for everything.
Okay, it's all over the news there all the time.
Some people don't like to do that, but
People
What's
gotta
the
watch the
downside?
news and be on what's
As long
up.
as you
Blake
can-
Elsnor, somebody posts that I got scammed. Do people, do you not get it? Do you not see it on the news?
Yeah.
People gotta watch the news.
some people are naive. It's just, you know, we deal with this on a daily basis, so I'm very, like, paranoid. I mean, but my dad, he owns his own business. He's had a checkbook sitting in his office with glass windows. I'm like, you need to take that home or put it somewhere where it's not easily accessible. Doesn't take much to break a window with a rock, run in, grab the checkbook, and now they're going to write it. But he's like, you're so paranoid. I'm like, I'm just watching out for you. It's going to be a headache. You should probably listen to me.
Yeah, if you park your car outside of your garage, one, don't keep your wallet in there with all your stuff.
Duh.
Never leave anything valuable.
Everybody says duh, but trust me, the numerous reports we get back there, it's like, oh, well, they left their purse in the car. I mean, what do you expect? Or they'll even like leave the door unlocked. But even worse is they'll leave the garage door opener in their car as well. So now, not only do they have their wallet with all your information on it, but now they have the door opener to your house.
What about cars that have it already set up in there? Do you recommend against setting them up?
Oh, the buttons?
Or park your car in the garage.
Do they work when the car's off?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have mine set up to the clubhouse to where I live, so that if somebody did steal my car and want to drive it back, this hit home, it'll go straight to the clubhouse and not my house.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
On a lot of the local social media pages, there's a lot of talk about the Jack in the Box over on the side of the lake, getting their credit card information. Did you guys have any updates on that? Was that case ever cracked or?
I haven't had any cases with.
And I just went there not too long ago. Did I use cash or my debit card? Yeah, I don't have any. We can look into it.
You know, the
Maybe
thing
get back to
is these crooks, I mean, they're ever evolving. You know, as technology evolves, these guys are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. So it's one, you know, they'll get one scheme down and then it goes on to the next. And it'll take them, you know, a couple months to figure it out. And so they're always evolving. So.
And I think they do have electronic door poppers because everything on your car is electronic. So I'm pretty sure that there are sophisticated criminals that do have the door pops that they can just walk by and open it. Same with that chip now. I believe there are scanners out there that can pick up your information without ever running that card. So you don't have to use it somewhere for it to be stolen all the time. It's just when we get technology like this, they figure out how to break it. So.
Yes, sir.
All right, talk about trying to prevent ID theft. So my wife gets me this wallet, whatever, because it's supposed to, I guess people can walk next to you.
Is that block?
So is that
wallet thing?
Is that real, or is that more like a good way to sell wallets?
I will say, the people that are doing the majority of this stuff aren't the real sophisticated type. These are the people that are using drugs. It's how they buy their drugs is through defrauding other people. They're not that smart to be going, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen that yet.
Right.
Yes, sir.
What about Samsung Pay? Using the latest device on a phone. How's?
I haven't seen, I have it.
Okay.
I haven't, I mean, I don't know if it's the best thing there. I haven't heard of any breach of it yet. I mean, here's the thing. Our information's everywhere. It doesn't matter where if you go to Home Depot, they have all your information. If you go to Target, they got all your, pretty much every major retailer is going to have your information. It's just being cognizant of where it's at and just reminding yourself, get that credit check done. That way, if you are a victim, you know quick.
And any junk mail you guys get, shred it. Like the credit card applications. Because they'll take that. I mean, I think the guy that we got in for the Staples, he had a ton of other people's identities, which I don't think it was used yet. But he had, I think I had probably 24 people that I had to go follow up with to see if they were a victim. And a lot of that was from mail. It's the credit card sends you those checks you can write out. They try. They'll fill it out and they'll try to take it to a bank or whatnot.
Yes, ma'am.
You can also opt out on those, getting all those promotional checks from your credit card. You can opt out on those and have them not send them to your home anymore, because those are real, they just, take those right out and it looks like a regular check. And
when you freeze your credit report from Experian, or if you freeze it, your credit, they stop coming. I got none when I had that freeze on. None.
How do you opt out?
if you read on the very bottom, it'll give you a phone number or an option to opt out of that stuff.
But there's not like a do not call list.
Well, they have a do not call. However, they always change the phone numbers that you're trying to. Do you want to talk to them about how you get spoofed with the phone numbers? It looks like it could be like a prefix you always call, and you're like, oh, this got to be someone I know, and it's like.
That's multiple times a day, and from what I'm reading, it's only going to get worse. I don't know what anomalies happened from like the last couple of years to now, but at least on my phone number, I'm getting a ton of just random callers, and I'll even get a call and I'll answer it, and then nobody will pick up. I know I have Verizon cell phone, and I know you can opt into a plan to where it'll say spam likely, or it'll actually give you like a caller ID saying that there's a possible.
On our landline, we use No Mo Robo,
Oh.
and it knows all the. So the phone will ring one time,
Right.
and automatically hangs them up, and you can also go in there and manually put in the phone number.
Do you have a question?
Yes, the nearest field office or sub-office for the postal inspector in this region?
We just got a new postal inspector. It was Gabe Rodriguez, and I want to say within the last month, it's a new female inspector. But I think they're out of the Riverside office. But I think they have kind of like here, like they cover different areas. But I think their main office is in Riverside. I can check more into that when we're done here.
All right, thank you.
And then I'm sure you guys all know about Ring and the Nest cameras. We've solved cases, a lot of them now, with home video. The missing person we had on the lake, I got a ton of video around the lake from houses and other things like that to help me on that case. So if you're somebody who wants that security, figure out how to use it so you can help us if we need it. But it's everything's, we're on camera everywhere we go now, for the most part. So you might as well, if you want that security, it goes right to your phone. To me, it's better than like ADT, because I don't know. So I'm not gonna put, hopefully nobody works for an alarm company. But the alarm company usually calls the homeowner and then calls us, right? Sometimes it's simultaneous or whatnot, but there's still a delay. There's always a delay when you call the sheriff's department. You're either on hold for a little bit, or from the time the dispatcher takes that call to the time they dispatch it to a deputy, it could be, depending on the call, anywhere from a minute to 7 minutes, right? And if you add the alarm company into that, now you're talking maybe 10, 15 minutes. Well, by the time we show up, there's nobody going to be there. Plus, you don't know how long it's going to take us to respond depending on what type of call it is. So those ones that go straight to your phone, you can literally call 911 and say somebody's at my front door breaking in, or somebody's taking my mail, which now it's a crime in progress, which if we can and have deputies available, we'll get there faster. That's all depending on our call volume and what deputies are doing at the time. But to me, that's better than it taking 7 minutes for a cop to get there or even get the call before we even, go over there. Because 7 minutes, they're going to be.
And I would add to that, if you guys are serious about getting surveillance cameras around your house, invest in good quality ones. Don't invest, otherwise you're wasting your money, honestly. Because a lot of these people, they're like, oh, we got surveillance cameras, and we go there, and it's like, is that a guy or a girl? It's the truth. It's like, well, I don't know who that is. Do you know who that is? No, so if you're gonna buy it, get a good, decent one. Costco sells some good stuff. Get the high definition, night vision. I don't know what. There's so many different kinds out there, but make sure that if it's capturing somebody, you can at least make a decent picture of what they look like. Otherwise, you're just wasting your money.
And be able to retain that data and be able to get that data to us. Because sometimes people get these wazoo cameras, but that's all they are. They don't know how to work the program. So make sure it's user-friendly. Don't make it so fancy that not even you can figure out, because it will be counterproductive. You see it happening, but then there just went all the data because you can't retrieve it. So that's very important.
Anybody else?
Well, back on the shred, the junk mail? Because this might be one of those moments where I have to tell my wife she's right. No, I get the whole thing about the...
Stop.
Yeah.
If I don't answer the question, you don't have to...
Perfect. No, I get the part if it's checks and whatnot, or fake checks, but even just regular, let's say it's the election mail that comes through, it's like, well, I know she blacks out our name or takes that off or she'll shred that, but our information's there, so I don't know what magic about it being on a piece of paper from your house versus it's on the internet. So maybe
if it's got your name and your address, right?
Right.
All they have to do is go to the website, and now they can pull up all your information.
Okay.
So,
so they
come by on trash day and they go through your trash and
right.
It's all right there. And then they go on the internet.
if they have your name and address, that's enough. It just snowballs from there.
I see.
Or they get information, and yeah, your information is everywhere. I think we live in a time where we're not going to ever change that.
Do you want to cover what the holidays and thefts going up because of packages, things left in cars?
Yeah.
Just a reminder on that portion.
Yeah. There's different services now. I know Amazon's trying to do something like where they allow you or a key to go in your house. I don't know. I'm so sure about that. But I know there's like some things that I don't know if they're even out yet. I've just heard of them. But there's actually like a universal key that they're coming out with. So if you want to keep like this chest in front of your door, and if you're expecting a package, the UPS or whatever carrier is dropping it off can. I think that's kind of in the preliminary works, but I mean, if you're expecting a package, especially, you may have like a doorbell, like the video doorbells. I just got one. I'm addicted to it. Oh,
the trash guy's going there.
No joke. I'll get an alert. I'm like, oh, check that out. But no, it's super helpful. I've actually gotten quite a few people that have been stealing packages, and it's led to just a gigantic case, just based off of a video doorbell. So I would suggest, do some research on it.
They also make one with the floodlight. Ring makes one, I mounted on my garage, it has a floodlight and the camera.
Yeah.
And I also have an alarm built in. I can take my telephone right now and I put the alarm off. I can talk to people.
Wow.
I got it at Costco and it wasn't that expensive. And it's made by Ring. And
But if you're expecting like a high dollar package coming to your house, monitor it. I know Amazon now will actually send you a picture of that it was dropped off in front of your house. If you're not expecting somebody there, hey, give somebody a call. Or call your neighbor. Hey, I just got a package. We do it for our neighbors all the time. Hey, we just got a package. Can you go pick it up? I'll be home after work.
Here is a picture from Ring.
Yeah.
Somebody stealing a package.
Yep.
Right from the front door.
Yep.
Because the camera.
It's happening all the time.
Or take a box, put something not pleasant in it, tape it up and let them steal it.
It was on the news this morning, this girl was, it was on the news that she was stealing big boxes from a port, and the lady's talking to her, and it turned out to just be cat litter. But the point is, they don't care what it is, they're gonna take it. If it ain't nailed down, they're taking it. They have a total disrespect for the value that you've worked for it, for your property. They're just out for themselves, and we have to function that way.
So either try to be home when you got a package. A lot of times you can track everything, so you have an idea when it's going to be there. If you're not home, have a neighbor pick it up, hold it till you do get home.
They have Amazon lockers
Amazon
now.
has that locker thing too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have it delivered.
But I know Amazon will even send me an alert, but my package is 8 stops away.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Anybody else?
You got
Yeah.
a question?
Since identity theft and mail theft is it seems like it's on the increase, on the rise, and I don't know about this region, but do the numbers reflect that you folks will be getting more manpower eventually, so you can detail to specialized units?
Yeah, probably not.
No?
Yeah, that's,
Well, this
I mean,
is.
I know it would take more than just that, but it was just,
We're kind of diverting to other.
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I know what you're saying though, but as of right now, no. I guess is a short answer. There's so much gain for these guys to get your information and get your stuff, and zero loss. They'll go spend a night in jail and they're back out the next day. So.
and same with, the drug users that are, don't have a place to live or whatever, but they're hooked on drugs or meth or heroin. They're the ones who do commit some of these petty crimes where they'll just open your door handle on your car to take the change out of it. That's why we recommend locking your car, because those types of criminals aren't gonna break your window to get in. They're looking for the easy crime of opportunity that's not really gonna get them caught up. So they'll just check door handles. So and if you see that in your neighborhood, call it in. Now, like I said, we can't guarantee we're gonna get there in the time, before they leave the area or whatever, but, if we get those calls and we know that it's happening, those are the things we can focus on. We can, as a detective bureau, if we're getting hit in a certain area, we can adjust or put some special programs together due to that lack of manpower or whatever. Why, if there's a special need, we can come up with some programs to help. If, the powers above us approve that. We're not the bosses, but we don't like these guys as much as you don't, so we'll do whatever we can to try to prevent it or, catch people that are doing it.
For mail theft type stuff, I've done quite a few cases to where we always try to file it, because it's still a federal offense, believe it or not, to steal mail. Any piece of stolen mail, if there's identity theft involved, if there's drugs involved, one piece of stolen mail is enough for us to at least contact the postal inspector, and then they come and try to file a case federally. It takes quite a bit. Their requirements to be able to prosecute something like that is so much higher, but we're noticing that at least with the federal stuff, they're actually getting real time. So that's kind of the good news for it, but at a state and local level, there's zero ramifications for this. I mean, they're getting probation, they're in and out of jail overnight, and they're right back at it, unfortunately.
Do you have any other questions or anything? Doesn't have to be identity or mail theft related.
Can you go back to the one slide where you gave the address, the email address for the postal inspector if you need to file a report?
I don't know if I have that one on here.
And then our names, and those are our desk numbers. So if you need anything or you have questions,
As far as the meetings, how do we know what the topic's gonna be before we attend? Because I know tonight for myself, I was thinking it was gonna be like the drug issue and homeless population and stuff, so how do we?
That was the meeting before.
Correct.
On the email, it does give you that information. So I'm not sure, did you get an email from?
No, somebody in our neighborhood watch program.
Oh, maybe
I
they
posted
sent you a
it.
note that way.
I posted it.
I think it was before.
I posted her email. Yeah, no, I posted her email, whatever she emailed out, I posted it.
Which was identity theft. We did cover the homeless issue at a previous meeting.
I don't remember seeing that one on there.
We did cover that at a previous meeting, but we
This
can
one?
always bring the homeless situation
wasn't
back
another one.
because it is a very hot topic for everybody. And we can just kind of tell you what we have done and what the city has done, and we'll bring that topic back again for sure.
Okay.
I think it boils down to just common sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if you leave your car in the driveway, you would lock it,
That one?
or the street, I mean, that's
Yeah,
just.
inform the living.
but not everybody
No,
is
there was
suspicious of
one
everything. And if they haven't been a victim,
Where you actually
that's
have
part
the
of
postal
the
inspector
problem, like I
email
told
address
you
if
the
you
story
want to
about my
file
father.
one.
So,
I've been a victim and I left my door unlocked.
right, but now you won't anymore.
If you
So,
go online,
Did you get on
USPS,
the, did you guys sign in?
and it'll actually give
Okay,
you
then you'll be
the
getting
address
the
of,
most
I think you
current.
type in your zip code. and it'll give
Did you sign in too, sir?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
you have any other questions?
Well, we'll stick around if you guys want to ask private questions.
And encourage your residents to call us if they have any type of theft. You have to call us for us to be able to help them.
You're talking about Lowe's and Home Depot and Target cards. Are store cards more
Oh, he's
likely
gonna
to
answer,
be a problem?
just answer their questions.
I don't think it's,
I don't think it's so much the store cards. I think it's just a breach of their system, of their information. So whatever names and credit card numbers that were used, they store all those transactions onto a computer server. And I think the breach of that computer server is what allowed all of that information to get leaked.
Yay, thank you.